for me, especially, has been so challenging to embrace not only knowing who I am, loving who I am, but being fully present in my own body. I know that sounds strange, but when you dissociate and protect yourself through defense mechanism is you start to lose connection with yourself. And I think I found myself being so unconnected. You're just living in this mode of, well, you're not really living at all. You're just doing your responsibilities every day and showing up. Yes. Yeah.
You're surviving. You're not thriving.
And I don't want to speak for other people, but I know I can't be the only one who is like that. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Women of Fort Mill podcast. I am Leah Williams, and I've been so excited to continue on this short series that I started, Moments That Made Me. And it's been such a joy to bring on women that have made such an enormous impact in my life. So today we have two incredible guests from Divine Health Alliance, Helen Armstrong and Jen Payeur. Ladies, thank you both so much for taking time out of your insane week with all the travel and everything going on to join me. I'm so glad you're here. I'll just say a little bit about them, and then I really want them talking most of the time because it's going to be hard to fit everything in a short segment, but they're the life, the heart, the soul behind this holistic wellness practice. It's in Weddington, North Carolina. Their work spans across so many different areas, which we're going to unpack more, but health protocols, energy healing, plant-based medicine, essential oils, emotion code. There is so much. I can't get enough of it. My entire family has gone to see them, but their mission is really to change the world through healing physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So Helen and Jen, thank you for being here.
Such an honor to be here. Thank you.
Well, I know you both have stories, and not only how your journey started, that was, catalyst events that brought you to realize more people need to understand that there's another world that exists that we are all in, but many of us are unaware of. And so I'd love for both of you to share a little bit about triggering events that happened in your life that helped you realize what healing, what the energy around us, what we're made up of, what we can do to live a fuller life once we understand how our bodies work and our emotions, and that there's so much more, Helen, like you said, than just the physical body we live in.
Yeah. Well, I'll let Jen go first.
Okay. Age before beauty. Ha.
I didn't want to say it, but
yeah, I said it. It's okay. I said it. Helen and I refer to ourselves as the Light Beam Sisters. And it's fascinating how each of our own personal journeys kind of launched us into this holistic health space. And I use the word health, meaning body, mind, spirit, right? All aspects of us. So for me, it was two major health crises. So I was in the financial services world for 29 years, an executive doing what all executives do is climb the ladder and work hard and do all the things that we're taught to do. And, something was misaligned in me when I go back and look at who I was as a child. And Helen will talk more about this, I'm sure. But, I was so connected to nature. I was in nature all the time. And then I get this degree in finance and I find myself sitting under fluorescent lights at a desk, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, sometimes 20 hours a day. And that I look back now and I'm like, how did I do it? Right? How was that possible? And that's where I started getting so out of alignment, or now I know the word is integrity, out of integrity with who I was as a soul, as a human, and out of alignment with my purpose. So the first health crisis launched me deep into the natural healing world, looking for answers. And then the second crisis was stage 4 cancer. And that was like, I call that my 2x4 moment. When we don't listen to the whispers that we're getting, eventually we will get the hard message, the hard lesson. And so I was one of those people that waited until I got the hard lesson before I really decided to radically change my life. So that's how I ended up here. And that's why I have such a love of helping, in particular, women who were just like me, working in this corporate grind and forgetting that we're so much more than these human bodies, right? We're here with a mission, each one of us, whether we're aware of it or not. And we're creating our lives unconsciously, mostly by whatever programs are running in the background. And so that was me, classic me. And that's why I want to help women not have to get that 2x4 moment.
Yeah. And then pivoting to me, different, but similar. So I feel like for me, it started, I grew up in a British family with very conservative, reserved behaviors. And I was this vibrant, energetic, bubbly child that slowly over time got sort of crushed and shrunk to fit in. And the word we use is to be appropriate. So then I did all the things that I was told to do, right? You've got to go to school here, you've got to get a job here and do get in this relationship. And so I also was in corporate America and financial services for 27 years as an HR executive. So I was able to tap into my connection and love of people, but in what I would say is a more, stagnant, stifled way. And most of my issues in life, Jen's physical, mine started more, I would say, on the mental emotional side. So I was a very sensitive child, an empath, and taking on other people's emotions. I just didn't know that was what I was doing. So, I've had an eating disorder, depression, withdrawing from things because I was so overwhelmed by emotions and things that I was picking up from other people and not having any awareness, which also resulted in thyroid issues, physical issues, couldn't manage my weight because I found I was making myself bigger and bigger and bigger to either protect myself or take on other people's emotions, right? If I make myself physically bigger, I can take on more stuff without knowing I was doing it. So in corporate again for 27 years, met Jen. Jen and I met in corporate. I saw her bopping down the hallway in her blue suit.
Your energy is connected.
Yeah. Well, and fast forward, I took a job out in California and I was working with an exec and he's like, do you remember Jen Payeur? She's doing some weird holistic healing thing, but I'm going to get her back in corporate. And he did. She came out to California and I was her HR exec as well. We went out to dinner and she's like, you're a healer. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? She's like, you're a healer. So Jen has this gift of seeing people for who they truly are at a soul level before we oftentimes know who we are and what our purpose is. So that is for sure one of her gifts. But, game on, I went down a path to unravel and let go of the baggage that was holding me back. And here we are now. I think two very, very different people than we were.
Yes. And that's the exciting part, is to know that there is this whole other life that we have to live that's so full, that's available to everyone. I think it's just easy for us to feel stuck. And I know I certainly have at a lot of points in life. When a mutual friend of ours, Katie Linden, told me about you, we were having conversations around my son and his health journey. And of course, I'm always looking for things that I haven't tried to help him. And so when she brought you up, I was like, yes, anything. If you trust them, and from there, it started initially to help my son, at which you have so much, but then realizing, okay, Leah, there's so much that you have to unpack and move through because you're directly connected to Calvin and there's an impact there. So understanding that and realizing how much was just stored in my body through all the things. And we all have trauma. For me, it was just more fresh because I had just lost my mom. So there was so much that was already under the surface, but was like trying to come out. So big moments for me in realizing that you absorb other people's emotion, and so much of what we feel, we think is ours. Like, I have these problems, there's these issues with me. And sometimes it's not the case. It's just what's been absorbed. So could you both share a little bit about emotion code and helping people understand this energetic space, which I know you have to be open-minded. Sometimes if you have no exposure to this world, you're like, what is going on? What are people talking about when they release emotions and cords that tie you to other people? And you just have to be open to understanding that. But once you do, it makes so much sense. And it's like you take the glasses off and you're like, I finally see what's going on now. Yeah. But I'd love it if you'd unpack that.
Yeah, maybe we should start with explaining a little bit about how we're energy bodies, and Jen can maybe take that, and then I can take the how do emotions get stored and trapped. So yeah.
Yeah. So in the first health crisis I had, I ended up going to a 4-year energy healing school. And honestly, I walked in there in my little Brooks Brothers suit and I had no clue what the heck just happened to me, because I was so left brained, and I came in and people were talking about energy and I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? I don't understand. That was back in '08. Now in 2025. The science has now proven we are 99.999% energy, which leaves 0.0001% matter. So what does that mean? It means this physical body is mostly nothing. And it's really hard to wrap our heads around that because this is what we see and feel every day. But actually, we are mostly energy and we're mostly nothing. And we're mostly these little particles of light. And we're not taught that. We're never taught that in school. We're never taught that by our parents or through our spiritual traditions. We're taught that this is the only thing that matters. And so it's pretty exciting that science is catching up with what, Helen and I learned along the path, that it's true. We're energy and our energy is contagious. And that's where Helen's going to step in and talk about the emotions, because when you're standing around somebody who's negative, you are totally going to be impacted by that. And you easily could take it on. And that is where, if you don't understand that we're mostly energy, you're going to be taking things on that you're not even aware of.
Yep. So fast forward to emotion code. So it's a modality that we use, and then it typically morphs into other things in sessions with people. But the whole concept and philosophy is, because we're energetic beings, when we have things that happen to us and traumas, whether, to me, there's no difference between a capital T trauma, right? I was abused, I was in an accident, somebody died, or a small trauma, right? With air quotes, lost a job or something that's perhaps not as significant, or was told I couldn't do something, or was rejected by somebody. The body doesn't recognize the difference between the two. And so it will take that trauma and take that emotion and just stuff it down in the body. So it traps it energetically. And those negative emotions, if it's fear, horror, worry, have a vibration and a frequency that two things happen. One, we are holding and shoving that frequency down into our body. So it's creating a low vibration, which is where dis-ease or disease starts to manifest, right? When we're not vibing high. And we are spending so much time and energy shoving it down, right? And I use this analogy all the time, probably too much, but it's like taking a balloon that's full of air and you could just pop it and send it on its way, but we're pushing it underwater. And if you've ever tried to do that, it's really hard to push a balloon underwater. So we are expending all of this energy just keeping that stuff trapped. And all of us have the opportunity to let those emotions come to the surface and release them. And I love this modality because you don't have to relive the experience. It's an energy. So let's bring it, let's tap in, figure out what it is, bring it up and remove it and send it on its way. So most people that we do this work with feel lighter and brighter, and it gives them an opportunity to kind of reset their playing field so that they can heal if they do have a physical issue.
Yeah. And one of the things we've noticed is a lot of people come to see us with physical issues, but the dis-ease never starts in the physical body. It's the last place where imbalance will hit. And that's when it finally gets our attention, right? Because it's always happening in the emotional body, in the spiritual body, in the mental body. So thoughts are creating our reality. And if somewhere in here is I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy, right? And you say that to yourself 1,000 times a day, which women, we are so great at beating the crap out of ourselves.
We're pros.
Looking in the mirror and finding the one thing that doesn't look amazing, but it's always starting in these other areas. That's why it's so important to have this dialogue to help people understand, like, the physical body is the last place where an imbalance hits.
And our bodies give us messages, right? So where the physical ailments are, there's often a correlation. So in Chinese medicine, the kidneys are worry. The liver is anger, frustration, resentment. The throat, we see so many women with throat issues, thyroid issues, that is tied to the throat chakra, which is about using our voice, speaking up, speaking our truth, standing in our power, and receiving
And learning to receive.
Yeah.
I just can't fully express the difference it's made. But I mean, both of you know, every time I've walked into the office, you probably sense this, whoa, this aura's got a lot going on there. But then by the time I leave, there is this, you said, lightness, this feeling of connection to yourself that for me especially has been so challenging to embrace, not only knowing who I am, loving who I am, but being fully present in my own body. I know that sounds strange, but when you dissociate and protect yourself, your defense mechanism is you start to lose connection with yourself. And I
Yeah.
think I found myself being so unconnected. You're just living in this mode of, well, you're not really living at all. You're just doing your responsibilities every day
You're
and showing
surviving.
up. Yes. Yeah.
You're surviving. You're not thriving.
And I don't want to speak for other people, but I know I can't be the only one who is like that. And the freedom when you start to feel connected and feel like I can have joy, there can be good things. I'm sure there's a ton of stories that you can share, but what does the process of working with you look like? Because when someone comes in, you can analyze and determine how you can best help. For me, I'm sure you're like, woo, we're going to use every modality. We're going to, all the things, which I'm like, whatever we should do. Let's just do it all. But what does it look like for someone that maybe comes in with a physical ailment, which is many times the trigger for us to act and do something? What's an idea of what could happen after that? So they meet with you and what happens from there?
Yeah, we both are intuitives. And so what we want to get to is, where is this issue originating, right? Is it something that happened in childhood? There's a great book called The Body Keeps Score. And we now know, right? The body holds on to these big traumas, little traumas. And really, the body doesn't differentiate between the two, which is interesting. So we usually look to see where something is originating. And that's where we want to focus. So oftentimes somebody will come in with a physical issue, but really it's not originating on the physical level. It's originating in the emotional body or the mental body. And so Helen and I do a lot of tag teaming where, oh gosh, and we don't ever just use one modality, right? So we may start with doing a holistic health assessment and say, oh, wow, this is emotional trauma, or this is past trauma from their childhood. And then we start bringing in things like the emotion code, energy healing. We love doing energy healing together because we both see and feel things differently. And it's been really a beautiful dance together because we don't have to say, oh, you go here, you go there. It's kind of like we just kind of flow with the energy and we go. And the beautiful thing about energy healing is you are clearing out so much held trauma. It could even be things from a different lifetime. It could be things we've inherited from our lineage, right? So it gets to all of that. It's kind of like this beautiful tapestry of different modalities. And we just kind of follow the flow of the energy.
Yeah. So I think there are kind of two ways people can come in. So there's the holistic health assessments, and then there's the emotional energy and trauma clearing is the way it's listed on the website. And either way, either path work, because typically we want to clear some of the emotional stuff oftentimes before we start the health, or we can start the health with some plant stem cells or some other products and then kind of open the pathways up to clear the emotion. So either work beautifully.
Well, it's been the plant stem cells, the essential oils. I mean, every time I come in, I'm like, okay, what should we do now? What can help me even more? But it's amazing. I've always leaned into the more holistic homeopathy side, but this just opened my eyes so much to see the real root cause of something, not just let's take some elderberry syrup to help with keeping your body well. It's so much deeper. And that's what we're all searching for: truth. We want to know what this life is about. We want to know how to live a full life. So I think that's why it was just so impactful, as an overused word, but radically life-changing for me was to start to see more truth of what this life is about, what our purpose is, and feeling like we can tap into that and connect to it and feel alive. And I'm sure all the people that come through, of course, they come most likely for healing or they want to feel better, but it brings you to a place that you almost didn't know was available to you when you're more connected. And obviously, it's important for men and women, but because women do absorb, we do typically serve and are the first ones to say, I will sacrifice myself. That'll be tribute, right? Like, we're trying to make everybody else happy, and many times it's to our own detriment. What are a couple of things you would say to women specifically to be aware of, to consider, and to even act on to help themselves live a much fuller life?
Yeah, I can go first. I mean, I think again, Jen and I both see and feel energy. So the number of women that come in that are energetically carrying the baggage of, Jen said it could be family lineage things. It could be the emotions and the heaviness of their children, of their spouses, friends and family. So I love the fact that we can help clear that energy out and move it, help them recognize, one, you're absorbing all these people's emotions and all of this energy and trying to take it on and manage it yourself, which unfortunately you can't do. You take it on, but you're creating a mirror image of what they have. So they've got to go through their journey. And even though you're holding it, you're not helping yourself. You're making it worse, honestly. So just recognizing so many people just feel heavy, stuck, can't see a clear path forward, or stuck on the hamster wheel. So I think just knowing that we are these energetic bodies, and more often than not, we've taken on somebody else's stuff or holding other people's energy. So I think just recognizing that. And then Jen, I don't know what you would add kind of post that.
Yeah, what I would add is, we're living in probably one of the busiest times we've ever been in as human beings. Like, we are in constant fight or flight. And so much so we don't even recognize it, right? We wake up, we look at our phones first thing in the morning, we're filling our brains with chaos. Oh my gosh, look at what's happening, right? I mean, if you go back 150 years, we didn't know what was going on across the world, right? We didn't have the news. Now we're worried about something happening in different countries. And so we've got all this worry and chaos. And I would say one of the best things we can do is find moments of stillness, like really recognize, oh my gosh, don't get up in the morning and get on your phone. Get up and go outside for 10 minutes. Get good morning sunlight, right? It's free. It doesn't cost a thing. And taking those moments, like if you're sitting at a desk, stand up, set your alarm on your clock, stand up, move, right? We're meant to move. And so, yeah, recognizing absolutely that we're more than these bodies, but we are in these bodies, and we need to slow down because we can't connect to who we really are. We can't connect to our purpose and our impact in this world if we are full of other people's energy, if we are full of the news of what's happening around the world and all of the things. So I think we've got to start slowing down. And like Helen and I talk about this all the time. It's fascinating these things show up in our lives. I was like, wow, I had the best week last week. I slowed down. And then this week it's been like game on. And I'm like, wow, here it is again, right? This universal pull to be busy and to be doing. And I think the magic and the healing and the joy is in the being. And one of the things Helen and I asked all of our clients, and especially our female clients, is what do you do that brings joy in your life? And so many women look at us like deer in the headlights, like, what? Joy?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you might have been one of those people, but that's so right. It's so right. We haven't been taught to think that way. We've been taught to, what did you get done? How productive were you? Right. Because that's how we've measured our worth. And so we say, what if we measure our worth by how much joy we had, how much magic and sparkles? I mean, Helen is like, now I'm going to start crying. She is the epitome of, Jen, let's have fun. Let's, be silly. And wow, does it change every single cell in my body? And I know it does for our clients. So she is like magic and fun and sparkly. And it's like, that's who we're supposed to be as humans. And we have forgotten that. And so to me, those are simple things that we can do to just be and shine and sparkle and remember that we are not supposed to be taking on all this other stuff.
And what a relief, I think, especially for women, to feel like we don't have to carry everything. I mean, sometimes I think we self-impose these things, and others might not have these expectations, but our expectations of ourselves are just so high. I mean, it's ridiculous. So to feel like you can offload some things, it's like, oh my gosh, this world that has been on my back, I don't have to carry it. It's not mine to carry. I am so thrilled. So I'm going to have you go over how people can contact you and get in touch with you. We will start promoting this in the next week, but Helen and Jen are also going to be speaking at the Women of Fort Mill Summit in January. So when you kick off the new year in 2026 on January 10th, you will be able to come see them, experience it for yourself. It will truly change your life. Like, without a doubt. I feel like the second I met with you, every person I talked to on the phone that I knew would be a little bit open-minded, I'm like, do you know Helen and Jen? If not, you should. So I'm so happy that you're our summit for any woman that wants to get in touch with you, gosh, this is also so helpful for kids. I know most people know I have a 3-year-old, and the work on him, little people have so much emotion, and they too are sensitive and take on and absorb, and they're so little. And so, yeah, life-changing for me, but I think especially for moms, we're always wanting to help our children too live a wonderful life. And I've just learned so much around how these things and how I impact my own child's emotions. And so, yeah, I would encourage you, if you are a woman, then you have to reach out to Divine Health. But Helen and Jen, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? Is it social media, email, Divine Health website? What's the best way?
Yeah, any of those work. So divinehealthalliance.com is our website. And then we're on Instagram. It's divine_health_alliance
Okay.
and on Facebook. But we would love to see people in person. We can also do all of this work remote. And one of our missions for 2026 is to really create a membership and a community to help support people. So we teach classes. We're in the midst of an online class right now to teach people all about energy, whether they want to be energy healers or not. It's how can you do this for yourself? And then also create this community online where we can clear what we do already, have a group to clear energy in people's homes every day, but kind of take that a bit further and empower people with how now I know I'm an energy being. How can I harness the energy, clear my own energy, tap into it to make decisions, etc. And then we also do group stuff, right? So we love groups of women, like what we're going to do with you. We haven't even talked specifics, but typically we do a teaching and then a meditation, breath work, and energy clearing. So those have been super powerful, and we love people leave looking like different people. That's why I love this work.
Yeah, totally agree.
Well, thank you both for your time, for your good energy. I mean, like I said, I walk in feeling one way and I just feel so renewed and full of the life and the energy that I want to have. So thank you for sharing your gifts with us. Ladies, if this episode impacted you, please share it with someone. Obviously, it's impacted my life so much. I feel that every woman needs to know about them, about this work, so that you can live a much fuller life. Give them a follow, reach out to them, and then be on the lookout for news and information on the summit that we'll be hosting in 2026. So thank you again, Helen and Jen. It's been such a pleasure, and I can't wait to have you on again. And ladies, thank you for joining into the Women of Fort Mill podcast, and we will see you soon.